A pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I have an amazing tutorial for you guys. Today I'll be teaching you the thumb fan, which is an amazing way to display a deck of cards. There are various fans in Magic, not only the thumb fan. There is the thumb fan, riffle fans, pressure fans, and even one-handed fans, and other more advanced one-handed fans out there. But the basic is the thumb fan, and that's what I'll be teaching you today. I'll be teaching you the thumb fan and a variation that uses the index instead of the thumb. So, without further ado, let's get right into the tutorial on this amazing cardistry flourish. So, now let's get into the tutorial on the thumb fan. Now, before I say anything, let me just tell you what deck I'm using. I'm using the first V3 playing cards by Chris Ramsey, and I'll leave the link down in the description. So if you want these cards and you like how they look, or how you like them, then check them out if you want. So, but moving on, let's get into the tutorial. So first, we need to learn the thumb fan, and I'm saying this because I said I'll also be teaching a variation, and that variation is a very small thing, which is pushing it with the index instead of the thumb. As you know by the name, it's the thumb fan, so the cards are actually spread out with the thumb like this. But I'll be teaching you the variation with the index, as several magicians and cardists use it as they feel it's more elegant. But first, let's get into the grips. So, with your left hand, you'll be holding the deck in any way you want. It honestly doesn't matter, because you're going to reposition it into this grip. But the way you're going to do that is with your right hand. So you're going to come with your right hand and grab the deck in this way. So you're holding the left side of the deck with your thumb, and this is all near the top, so around this area. So you're holding that there. The index is on top around the middle, and the ring and the middle are on the sides just opposite of the thumb. So you're holding in this grip, and this is only for a brief second as you're gonna reposition it. So you're here, and you're just lifting it up a bit so you can grab it with these fingers, these 4 fingers, and the pinky is just off on the side. You're grabbing it, and you're repositioning it into this grip. So you want to reposition it with into the very crotch of your hand. Now obviously you can do the thumb fan like this, or not, but repositioning it, just moving it like that, which will still look good, but you won't get as big or as circular as if you brought it around here. So as I said, reposition it into this grip. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it into the crotch of my hand, turning it as left as I can, because then only I'll have more space to do the fan out and have it more circular and larger, which is all what we all want. So we're in this position in the crotch of our hand with our thumb diagonally here, and these 2 fingers here, and these 2 fingers are just floating here. So once you've gotten the deck into this grip and repositioned it here, this is the main move, which is spreading out the cards into the fan. So you're re-gripping into this, and then you're not gonna let go. You're gonna still be here, and then you're gonna push. So I can't really teach you how to push it, because that all comes from experimenting and trying it out. In the beginning, you'll get, especially if you have an old deck. So what I suggest is have a newer deck or a more quality deck. It doesn't have to be too much, like, doesn't have to be too expensive, but like a rather slippery and nice deck. So if you have a really old deck, it is possible, but it'll come out in really, it'll come out in packets and not in cards. So that'll be really frustrating for you. So with your newer deck, you're going to get into this position and start pushing. So what I suggest is, my only tip that I can give you is near the bottom, when you're spreading out these bottom few cards, you're going to be pushing it like this, straight. So all that's happening is, as you're spreading, your thumb is actually straightening out until the end. It's practically flat and you're dragging it for no reason. So once you get here, whoops, I did it with my index. So you're repositioning it, and then you're pushing with the bottom. And then as you get near the middle, as you can see, my thumb is actually flattening out. So obviously my fan won't be good because I'm doing it really slowly, but my thumb is flattening out until about here, near the end. My hand is completely flat. And don't just stop here. Continue all the way. And this is a very weird and unusual fan because I did it really slow. But let me just explain it one more time. You're straightening out your thumb as you go, and then you're continuing it. Okay, so that was the tutorial on the thumb fan. And one last quick overview is you grab it, you reposition it into this grip, and you don't let go, and you immediately push it into the fan. And you can do anything you want from there. Now, let's get into the variation with the index that I talked about. Now, this is not very different. It's basically the same thing, but some magicians and some people say, and even I felt it, because when you're doing the thumb fan, you have to grab the deck and reposition it to be able to do the move. Whereas it's more natural to just do it with the index because your hand is already stretched out at this corner. Your index is already stretched out. So you'll be holding the deck in about a biddle grip like this. This is what I do. So I have the thumb, these two fingers, and if you want, you can put the pinky. This is all experimentation. So, sorry, someone rang the bell. Now, let's get into the variation that I talked about. So, we just learned how to do the thumb fan with the thumb and just pushing it with the thumb. But now the variation is just pushing it with the index like this. So it won't take long to learn this because if you already know that, then it's a very simple concept. It's almost the same thing. The only difference that I do is obviously push it with the index, and also instead of gripping it with just these two fingers, I typically grip it with 3 fingers instead. I don't know why, I just do it, but you can experiment on if you want to do it with 2 or anything like that. Alright, so let's do it. So instead of getting into this grip, all you want to do is hold it in this kind of biddle grip position. So you have these 2 fingers and this finger, and the reason why people say it's easier is because your index is already extended towards the side to push, whereas your thumb is back here, so it feels weird to go like this and then push like that. So you're here, then you're re-gripping, just like before. You're putting it there and you're holding it here, but instead of here, I typically hold it with 3 instead. You can hold it with 2, it won't be that different, but yeah. So you're here, you re-grip it with 3 fingers, and then you're doing the same thing. You're giving the deck a bevel, and then you're spreading it out like that. So, one last time, because this is very simple, because now that we've learned that, so we re-grip it, and then we bevel a bit. I would suggest to, before you fan it, I forgot to mention this when talking about the thumb fan, but once you're here, I would suggest giving the deck a bevel. It's not mandatory, I don't do it too much, but I do it a lot when doing it with the index because it's easier to bevel the cards. So bevel, all I'm saying is just push the cards a bit like this, and it'll be easier to perform the fan. So you here, you re-grip, you bevel the cards a bit, and then you spread, just like before. You're flattening out your index and dragging it all the way to get that beautiful fan and display for the cards. Now, the tutorial is almost over, and I just want to show you one last thing, and that's how to do the one-hand close-up. Because obviously, doing this, and then just doing this, even though that seems pretty satisfying and cool, it's not exciting as just doing that and just closing it magically. So it's very simple. Once you've done either fan, then it'll be a bit hard to display because gravity helps you do the close-up. So you're performing the fan, then I mainly use these 2 fingers. So I kind of bend it like this, and I switch. I do this, and then I close up. Alright, so that just happens naturally sometimes. So you do this, then you're taking these fingers, and I bend the index, then I switch like this position. Alright, and then once you do the switch, you're just dragging it with your ring finger. Alright, so that is the one hand close up. So you do this and then close up and then you just square up. So that was my tutorial on the thumb fan and the variation and the one hand close up, which is a very magical way to close up the deck of cards. So I hope you enjoyed that beginner flourish, and make sure to give it a lot of practice, because even though it's pretty beginner, it will take a lot of practice to learn it and to perfect it. So that was the tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video.